Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of No More Yes Girls, where we talk about our healing journeys. So I'm your host, Vivian, and this is my sister, Vianney.
Hi.
Hey, sister.
Hello.
So what will we be talking about today?
Well, I feel like we should backtrack our story a little bit. I know in our first episode we touched a little bit of everything, pretty much of our life in
Hmm.
general. So I feel it's best to pretty much start from the bottom. Who are
Yeah,
we? Where do we come from? Where our parents are from, as we mentioned before, our parents are immigrants here to the US, from Mexico originally, and how our life was up until they got divorced, and we were at a young age when they got divorced, and how the divorce pretty much was the initiation of our life being changed, or the first
yeah.
changing transformation of our life, and so forth. All right, so
Okay.
go ahead.
I just actually wanted to ask you, um, since I was the oldest, I know that I got a lot of, my life was different. I was raised differently. Uh, what do you remember? Like what, because I remember my parents being together and I don't think you had that. So from when you were young, you know, being raised, what is it that you remember?
I was, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 when they got divorced. I do remember when pretty much early on when my parents were still together, we did a lot of activities. We would drive to Mexico a lot growing up, or at least every year. And we would have a lot of get-togethers and a lot of our parents would do a lot of hosting from what I can remember. And they were just very, like, eran bien alegres growing up, but at the same time, it was from one extreme to the other. So I also remember a lot of the arguments and a lot of the desacuerdos and a lot of
Yeah,
the whole toxicity and how they were siempre estaban en un desacuerdo in a way, like if they weren't really on the same page. And it was just a lot of like yelling and a lot of chaos. But at the same time, there was moments where I was able to see them be cariñosos uno al otro. My dad
yeah.
with plants because my mom loves plants or flowers, and just like a lot of food. My mom a is a very good cook. So I
Hmm.
remember a lot of the food, and I believe that was probably for me that type of cooking or that type of food was like, I guess, my escape from the chaos, because
Uh-huh.
was always so fascinated and so intrigued with like people coming over, and they would get
Yeah.
excited to try my mom's cooking and stuff, and even like my dad or his family would come, and
And ask for her cooking.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
that was always like for me, that was always so fascinating, like how my mom was able to bring so many people together that way when it came to food. My grandma was the same way. Both my grandmas actually were the same way. So I found that common denominator with everybody, and I just fell in love with that process. And I guess, well, no, now I know where it comes from, and I do the same thing too now.
yeah,
And but at the same time, it was I still remember a lot of the happy memories, and I still remember a lot of the not so happy memories. Um, I do remember also like cops being involved and arrest being made. Um, it was it like kind of like I just saw everything from like a movie in a way. Like I would see
yeah.
everything, yeah, like in a movie, like you're happy and you're the happiness of it and the toxic or chaos of it at the same time. And then all of that just went away. and it was just on the struggle bus ever since I can remember.
So do you think that you remember more of them being separated than together?
I think it's 50-50.
Do you? Because you were younger than me.
Right, right,
So
right.
for me, I do think it's more um well, I was 15 when they got divorced. So, I did have them together up until I think the last 2, 3 years were like the worst ones of their marriage,
Mhm.
um, before they got separated. So I do have a lot of way more memories than
Oh, of course. Yeah.
yeah, than you guys. So you think it's 50-50,
For me, I would say
the
50.
what
Mhm.
you remember? So I very very vaguely remember how old you were when they got separated. Probably like 7, huh? Like 6, 7.
Mhm.
That I vaguely remember.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's interesting. I don't think we've ever talked about that.
No, and I think my memory started when I broke my arm.
Oh, uh-huh. Yeah.
I was 3, and I remember that
Yeah, you were small.
it was yesterday because it was just it was a traumatic event, and it was my left arm that I broke,
Yeah.
and I remember everything so vividly, and yeah, I remember my dad getting off work. I remember me falling off my uncle, the bed of the truck. It was a red truck as well. It was a little pickup truck. Um, I remember falling off of it. I remember breaking it. I remember my dad coming and picking me up and
Hmm.
taking me to the hospital. And then from there, we had to go to a different hospital because it wasn't a trauma center. And yeah, I remember. Then from there, obviously, I went under surgery, so I don't remember that part. But I remember staying at the hospital, and my mom would stay with me every day until I got discharged, and I had my little pink brace, like or cast.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember all of that, like if it was yesterday. And I think that's where a lot of like my memories probably started.
Now, how did that affect you? Like what you remember from a fact, like for instance, because I remember when I told you I was going to get married, and I'll never forget that you just said, "Are you sure you want to get married?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" And you said, "I would never get married, so I don't want to end up like my mom and my dad."
Yeah.
And so I remember telling you, well, when you find the right one, like that that's what you want to do, like te nace, you know?
Yeah.
Entonces, how did the divorce affect you to think that way? Like, do you think about it now, or is that part of your childhood that you're like, I healed it, I get it, like, or is it still like something you're like, I don't know.
Um, I don't know. Like I feel I have so many and growing up, I guess maybe that was why I've always been like the weird one. Because I never really cared for it. And
Mhm.
I know it really it's I don't want to say it's sad to say, but I mean for me, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, I'll be okay. I mean, I was once also I got married
Right,
to
because you ended up, yeah,
I did.
because
I got married to
yeah,
my
you were married and you've been divorced, correct? I completely forgot about that.
yeah, and
Yeah, you're
I
right.
also got divorced and but at the same time, like now that I think about it, like I didn't care if I was married or if I wasn't married. And and I think because I seen how my mom and my dad are now with their relationships, like they never really I mean, I don't know, I could be wrong, but from what I see is they're content with where they are with their partnerships. And I mean, as long as that's what they want to do and they're happy and that's what they chose to do, then great. I feel like nobody should feel obligated or pressure. And I think that's where I was when I was younger. Like I felt obligated and pressured by a lot of people to get married because it's like, pues, ¿cuándo te vas a casar? ¿Y cuándo esto? ¿Y cuándo es la boda? ¿Y cuándo? And it's like, I'm okay if it happens and I'm okay if it doesn't. But the way I see it is I want to be healed or at least healing a lot of parts in me before it does happen. And if I do decide to get married, it's because I did a lot of healing and I did
Hmm.
a lot of work because it's not fair for my partner, my significant other to always questioning or always like be what's wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Or just be accused of anything. Like I want to be in a relationship and I am where I'm dependently independent.
Yeah, but I think that stems from the way we were raised. Oh, you have to codepend on your partner, like
Yeah,
when you're married.
I just never
And
could
that's
see it
not,
play with
yeah,
me.
that I
Yeah,
don't think that that is something, because I mean, my husband and I, we're a team. Like there's
right,
no like, oh, you have to like, we do our own things. Like he's his own, I'm my own, and
right,
there's no like, where are you at? Who are you with? Where, however, out of respect, hey, I'm gonna do this. Or
right.
hey, I'm gonna do that. Just so you know where I'm at, and just so because I mean, I'm not asking for permission and he's not asking for permission. I think it's just being more of a team. And I don't think it was like that back then.
And I
So
never really
it's
seen a marriage like that either. So
yeah.
I guess that's why I never really cared for it because it was it was that like it was always like gatos y perros with everybody. I honestly, I mean, I don't know about you, but I didn't really see anybody who had like the type of role models I wanted to have as mentors or to have somebody like I look up to their marriage or their person or their personalities or their like I never really looked up to people now that I'm thinking about
And
it.
and you know what I did? I did. I had the example, and I was thinking about about this the other day too, because I'm like, that's what I asked for, and I know that that's what I'm living now. Um, my grandma and my grandpa through my mom's side. And I think it's because we all have different roles in this life, right? You have the role, I mean, I have many roles. I have a sister, a daughter, a wife, a mom, a grandma. But I think because I saw grandma and grandpa as grandma and grandpa, I didn't know them as like what if they had issues or if they didn't have issues. It was just like their love that they showed and just the way they treated each other. Um, when what I saw, I wasn't there all the time, but for my grandma, grandpa, the way he would massage her feet
Yeah.
and oh, acuéstate, and he would just kiss her cheek and just those little things, mi blanca paloma. And
Mhm.
I was like so in love with that I told my husband one day when we first met, I said, that's the relationship that I want, like
Mhm.
that. And now that I think about it, I'm like, I've always, but see, that up until grandma passed away, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know their relationship before, like I didn't know what it was like. I didn't know if they had issues, if they didn't have issues. I just knew it was grandma and grandpa, and I liked how they treated each other, and that's what I wanted. That's what I saw because
Right.
I didn't have that with my mom, my dad,
Yeah.
and because we didn't have any role models at all,
Hmm.
that was just the role model. Yeah, I mean, they weren't perfect, but it was just that love that they would show each other
Right.
that I saw growing up. And I have that, thank God I have that now with my husband, where even my kids are like, what the heck? Even our granddaughter is like hugging us together, and it's just those little things where they're just like, oh, and I'm like, wow, like it's not like we're doing it on purpose, but it's genuine
Comes now.
love that my husband and I feel for each other, that you just show it, you don't think about it, and so I did have that role model. I mean, for you maybe it was different because our parents were divorced. Again, you didn't have maybe that quality time
Hmm.
with one or the other,
Hmm.
where I did.
Yeah. 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 I've always felt kind of like by myself on in a lot of ways. And this was after the divorce.
Hmm.
It's been always like trying to figure out everything
On your own.
on my own. And
Hmm.
that's ultimately like what I did.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we
What I
all did.
do.
Yeah, and that's what we all did. But I think that apart from that, I honestly think their divorce was
Oh yeah,
a
100%.
blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think that's because I mean not just because of their relationship, just because I don't want my mom and my dad together, but I think because we wouldn't be who we are and we wouldn't be so independent and
Yeah.
we wouldn't have figured it out,
I
you
literally
know?
had this conversation with my dad the other day
Yeah.
because I was just thanking him and something that's something that I've been doing as of late. I was just thanking him for literally not even like getting involved in like adulting per se.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because even though my dad doesn't really, he speaks very broken English, he tries, él busca la manera de salir adelante, and I think that's something that I've always admired about him. And even with the language barrier, and it was that was something that I know I needed to learn for my own. And even though there was times where I know he wanted to help me, he just stood back and just let me figure it out on my own because I mean, there's times when there's going to be a time or there was going to be a time where I mean, he was not going to be around. And
Yeah.
um I we need to learn a lot of stuff on our own and figure it out on our own instead of being too dependent on either my mom or my dad. And yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for that divorce, we wouldn't be who we are. We wouldn't be trying to become better people, not only for
Hmm.
ourselves, but for everybody else. We wouldn't be the people who would wake up and rebirth ultimately because it's like, okay, this is what we went through growing up. I'm not victimizing myself whatsoever. I am now an adult and I'm going to take accountability for everything that I've done in the past. And for whatever my mom or my dad decides, that's their choice. Uh, that's what they, if that's what they want to do with their lives, great. If they want to be people, granted, our parents don't talk. Like it's been over,
Yeah. Years,
what,
years.
20 something years,
20 something years, yeah.
and they still it's difficult for them to get in the same room together at times.
And you know what? That's where our boundaries come in.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Oh, same.
Yeah, at least for me with my kids, I mean, they don't know what it's like not to have a mom and a dad together,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't know what it's like to have them separated. They have their mom and their dad together. So for me, it's very difficult to understand them because it's like, oh wait, I am together with your dad. Like, why are you asking me what it feels like? Like, it's different
Yeah.
because I didn't grow up that way.
Yeah.
But when it comes to my mom and my dad, and if you're not healed, that is not my issue. Just don't bring it around my kids,
Right.
because my kids, they don't understand. It's like for them, it's like they grew up so like knowing, oh, grandpa dad's on this side and mom's on this side, because that's what they call them. And that's it. Like there's no, oh, they've never seen them together, they've never nothing. So for them, it's like, oh, that's who they are. They're separated, you know?
Yeah.
And so little mosquita. And so it's mosca si me bañé. Like it's very different, but I had to set boundaries and be like, okay, I'm not gonna make appointments at my house.
Yeah.
You guys want to come, you guys are more than welcome. The door's open. Don't call me and ask me, hey, is your dad there? Is your mom there?
Hmm.
Because that has nothing to do with my family. Those are your guys' issues. Y de la puerta para afuera se quedan sus problemas allá. Y de la puerta para adentro, you guys are more than welcome to come in.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, one listens, the other one doesn't listen. But at the end of the day, I do have, we we try to spend as much time as we can with both of them,
Right.
you know. But again, it's they're not there yet. They're not in their healing moment. It's going to take time. Maybe they've healed some stuff they haven't. And that's why they decide, not to talk to each other. Um, but it is what it is. I can't control that. The only thing I can do is, heal myself and talk to my kids about it and say, hey, it has nothing to do with you guys,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the way it is. And you respect both of them.
Yeah. Actually, I do want you to talk about more of how you felt because you being the oldest, I know for the longest time that was something that it took a while for you to heal because I noticed it right off the bat and I've and I noticed it because I would see how it would make you feel and I would see how it would hurt you. But at the end of the day, like you entre mí pensaba, like that has nothing to do with you. That has nothing
Right,
to do with you, but you didn't see it that way for
right,
a long time.
right.
I know, can we go back talking about like how that made you feel like when you would invite my mom or my dad or like what did they tell you about seeing you or going over? I mean, I know my dad wasn't there when you got married, and I know that hurt you a lot.
For
And
years.
yeah, and I remember you hold on to that for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yep.
And granted, it wasn't a big wedding or everything, nomás te casaste al civil. And but even then, like it meant the world for you to at least have your immediate family there
Yeah.
para que para que mi papá salga
Mm.
con tengo que trabajar or what
Yeah.
was it? Era porque tenía que trabajar or something like that.
Yeah. 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 It was because I got married on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think going back when the whole situation started, I was a teenager. So I was in that time of my life where I was trying to find myself. So I didn't have el apoyo de nadie, you know. They get divorced and I end up having to be the one going back and forth with you guys,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because our older brother, the ones after me, moved with my dad. He was raised with my dad, and then you and our younger brother and myself were with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever they had that exchange, then I would go with you guys. That was before I got pregnant. Then a year later, I got pregnant. Um, and that was a whole other issue between my parents because they were blaming themselves for my pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the issue, because they had just freshly been, going through a divorce and everything. And it was more like of a battle of they're my kids, they're your kids, you're not taking care of them, blah, blah, blah.
Remember.
And it was kind of like blaming each other, going to court because I was pregnant. When at the end of the day, I mean, now that I look back and I'm like, I didn't have a guidance, I didn't have anybody that was worried about me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of took off to the streets and um no, I wasn't sleeping around the streets. I wasn't, no, what I meant was I took off with the boyfriend I had at the time, which is my oldest daughter's dad. Um, the only boyfriend that I had. And I got pregnant. And I got pregnant because I felt like that was the only person that
Understood you at the time.
cared for me, that was there for me. And it sucks because it was I stayed with him because I didn't have that support at home.
Mhm.
And then with him, I felt like he was the one who would take care of me, but there was emotional abuse, domestic violence, and I was still there up until I had my daughter.
Mhm.
Um, and when I told my dad I was pregnant, my dad's like, fine, tú ya eres harina de otro costal, you cannot come back. I told my mom's like, you know what, you have to figure it out. You have to forget about school.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, but I didn't want to forget about school. Like I wanted to graduate. Like, it's like
Yeah.
why? Because I have a child, why can I not graduate? So I ended up enrolling myself in independent studies and graduated on time um with my 5-month-old. And then from there, my mom and my dad were still arguing. They were still back and forth, the kids. And I decided I didn't want you guys, my siblings, my younger siblings, to go through what I went through. So then I started being more around you guys and trying to care more for you guys because our younger brother was, when they got divorced, our younger brother was two.
Yeah, they,
So
yeah.
yeah. So it was like, I don't want you guys to be, back and forth and not having somebody like I didn't have someone.
Mhm.
And so I was constantly, arguing with one or getting involved in their situations. And because my parents didn't know any better, oh, they would vent to me.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of things that I shouldn't have known. But again, they didn't know any better, So I mean, they probably felt like their world was crumbling, and who were they going to turn to if they were being judged and they were being talked about and they were being
Yeah.
looked at,
Yeah.
and I get that, and I don't blame them for it, you know. Now I've done that healing, but for the longest time, it was just kind of like my life was you guys instead of my daughter. And
Mm.
then when I met my husband, it was an automatic judge. Oh, because I met my husband, we weren't planning on getting married, but we planned my second child.
Mhm.
So when we planned her and I got pregnant, it was like, and I remember clearly I was told, you already made a mistake. Why are you making the second mistake? And that hurt because it's like my kids are not mistakes, especially if you don't know my what I've been through, or, that's why I made these decisions, but you're judging me.
Yeah.
And I told my husband's like, no, I'm gonna marry you. Like, let's get married, and that's where I was like, he accepted me with my daughter. There was no, I told right off the bat, I have a child. I'm not here to play games. And he's like, yo no estoy jugando. And he never judged me and he always defended me and he knew my story. Um, and that's when I thought, I have a chance. I remember before that, let me just give you a little testimony. Before I met my husband, I was so fed up with life, I didn't know what to do anymore with a child.
Mhm.
Granted, she was going to start school. I was so afraid of what if they ask, where's your dad and what is he going to do because he was never there. So, I was so afraid of that, of how was I going to explain to my daughter all this situation. And I remember falling to my knees and I said, God, I can't. I just take me because there's no way that I'm going to be able to go through life having to explain to my daughter over, this when it's not her fault. And when I did that, I remember my life just completely took a turn. And I met my husband because I met my husband online. Back then, there was no Facebook, but it was MySpace, and that's how I met my husband. And that I'm
Right.
that old. And and we've been together ever since. He decided to go with me. I told him, "Oh, I have orientation for, my daughter. We had been together for a few months, and I had orientation, kinder orientation." He took off work to go with me. Her,
Wow.
her first day of school and her last day of school, up until she went to junior high. He took the first day and the last day of school to take her to school and to receive her on the last day of school. And and those things were like, wow, it's different when it hits different when you come from divorced parents.
Right, right.
And yeah, and so when my parents when I got pregnant with my second daughter that we decided to get married, my dad he went and he asked for my hand in marriage and my dad said no. He said we went and we took him out to breakfast and because my dad he didn't want nothing to do with them. He didn't want to get to know him. I, try to bring him around. No, I don't want to get nothing because they were judging him like if he was
Mhm.
my daughter's biological father.
Mhm.
And which I get now, it's just like, I mean, now my dad just kind of like, looks down and he's like, oh shit, la cagué. But it is what it is. And yeah, we went to go ask him. My dad's like, no, porque mejor no van y viven juntos antes de casarse. And I get it. He was talking also from his experience.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it. There's no judgment there. Um, but yeah, it hurt a lot when I invited him and I called him and I said, hey, remember it's today. And he said, oh, I can't, I'm working. And then he's like, well, you should have called me before. And I said, I did. I called you last week to let you know, so you can ask for the day off. And he's like, yeah, but that wasn't enough time and blah, blah, why did you do it on a weekend? And, and he didn't show up. And for the longest time, I would cry that day because it was the only congratulations that I didn't get. And and now I know he doesn't remember now. He still doesn't because he never remembered. But it doesn't, when I realized that it's not me, that I'm not the one missing out, that's when I went, you know, that's when I just started letting everything go. The same with my kids' birthdays. You know, he's showed up not even a handful of times to my kids' birthdays. And at the end of the day, it would hurt before because it was like, well, if I'm gonna be there, the other one that can't be there. If that one's gonna be there, I'm not gonna be. And it's like, okay, I'm not gonna pick and choose.
Yeah.
And I finally came to terms where I said, you know what? My obligation as a daughter is to invite them. I cannot, that's it. That's all I can do is just invite them. It's up to them to decide if they're going to show up or they're not going to show up, you know? And so it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I did come to terms with that. And I said, hey, I'm not missing out.
Yes.
They're missing out. When my kids ask them, which they have, you know, what do they say? There's nothing they can say. They just look down,
Mhm.
you know, because my kids are older already. So they missed out on a lot, you know? And so it's just, it was hard for me. It took me a lot of years to get to that point. It took me, and I'm talking about probably like up until 3 years ago
Wow.
when I had the accident. That's when I learned how to let everything go. And I think that was because when I had that accident, um, my dad also realized a lot. So prior to that accident, because of all the trauma that I had gone through, um, my trauma was coming out physically.
Mhm.
So I was able to heal certain things. I talked to my mom about the divorce. I had never talked to her about it. Prior to the accident, we sat down and we talked about it. I asked her questions. I let her know how I felt. And that was healing for me. And I think it was healing for my mom as well, where we could actually sit down and talk about these things because we had never done it. And they've been divorced for 20 something years. And it was stuff that I was holding on to.
Mhm.
Um, her and her partner, you know, things that I was holding on, um, that I just needed to let go. And I was able to do that. And then I have this accident. And when I had the accident, my husband was with my dad.
Oh, wow.
So when I call my husband to let him know, my dad, I think my dad kind of realized, wait a minute. And I think that's where my dad hit rock bottom regarding our relationship.
Yeah, because you have the
And
kid too.
yeah, yeah, and I have the kids with me. And my dad didn't come to see us until a month later because it hurt him.
Mhm.
And my healing with my dad began that day that he came to see me because my dad hugged me like that hug I had never ever, and here it comes the crying, that I had never felt
Yeah.
in all those years. It was a hug that I needed from my dad.
Yeah.
And it sucks because it took the accident for him to realize it. But at the same time, he now from then it's been 3 years. He calls me at least once or twice a month, and we're on the phone for like 2, 3 hours just talking about life. And you know, how are the kids? And we see each other more often. And you know, now he's starting to be a part of.
Yeah.
And those are things where I'm just like, I thank God because I honestly thought that it was going to take his deathbed for my dad, you know, for me and my dad to have this a conversation like that or to realize it.
Yeah.
So I'm just so thankful that I have that time, to see him as just a daughter, the little girl that needed him back then. So yeah, it's just, and with my mom, it's just I have a closer relationship with my mom than I think um you guys ever did. I think I've had a closer relationship with my mom longer than you guys had
And I had
up until recently. And you have it with my dad. Yeah. Yeah,
that's
you had it with my
another
dad.
that's another thing too, where it's also different for us. Like I'm such a daddy's girl. I'm much more
Hmm.
closer to my dad than I am with my mom. And same thing, like it probably wasn't until I moved over here. So granted, going back, originally I'm from California, born and raised, and it wasn't until 3.5 years ago I moved to Texas. I moved here to North Texas, DFW area, and that's where I mean, I've started a healing journey in California probably 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, but it wasn't until these last 3 years where I literally just focused on myself because I didn't have any family around,
Yeah.
close family around, I should say, or immediate family around whatsoever. So I was by myself a lot, and it literally took me to move over here to slow down and analyze what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I mean, I was a nurse before, I was a nurse, um, even here when I was working, and I just kept thinking, like, do I want to do this? I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And so I did a deeper healing here, but I had to get away from my family in order to reach that deeper healing because it wasn't going to happen if I was still back in California. I was always making sure that my dad was okay. I was always making sure that my little brother was okay as well. Um, I paid for everything. I helped them in many ways, and I I did have separation anxiety when I moved over here because I kept thinking about my dad. Like, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
by, by himself, like is he gonna make it? Is he still, will he have money to pay the bills? Like it was just, I felt so guilty leaving him by
Yeah.
himself because I knew he depended on me for things. And and I didn't know like how to, if it wasn't for my now partner, he helped me a lot. I mean, he moved around so many times, ex-military, so he definitely helped me with moving from a different state and getting myself together and more stabilized. But at the same time, like he wasn't really that close to his family or to or even his parents where I was, that it was kind of it was hard for me. Like I would cry. I want to say the first year or close to a year, the first year, it was pretty hard. Like there was times where I would just cry out of nowhere, or and he would tell me too, he's like, just go take a flight back, go home for like a week or two, or go. I'm like, no, I need this. This is something that I need to go through. I was like, because I have to learn to be independent and not take care of them. My dad is a grown man. He figured it
Yeah.
out this whole time. I'm sure he can figure it out without me.
Yeah.
He, I was his facilitator. I was his enabler. And that's something where I also needed to do too, because I mean, granted, what if I was the one missing or I was the one that well, now that I stepped away, like he needs to figure out how to do some of this stuff on his own. He needs to work on some of this stuff on his own. Like, yes, we can help you, but you also need to learn too. And I feel like that's where I needed to step away so he can also see that I was going to be okay by myself and that he was also going to be okay by himself.
Yeah.
And that was something where I think, I mean, I missed all of you guys, and especially. living in a different state. I miss hanging out with you guys, and I miss getting together every weekend or every other weekend or whenever. But at the same time, I wouldn't be where I'm at if I hadn't moved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know deep down, I knew I was supposed to make this move and make this happen. And it's something that I needed to do. And because of that, I was able to find well, not even find myself, but come back to who I was originally and who I always wanted to be. And I didn't have to hear people or be in such a low frequency environment or in such a chaotic environment or such a just like everybody coming to me with their problems, everybody coming to me with
Yeah.
fulana de tal dijo esto de ti, and it's like I really don't care.
Yeah. And you become part of that environment. If
Yes.
you don't separate yourself from it, I mean, you are who you hang out with.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, because I mean, me, since in our marriage, I mean, finally, we bought our house and we've been stable. But in the beginning of our marriage, I mean, we lived a year in the same in town I grew up with, and then a year in Mexico, and then a year in Texas, and then we came back, and then now I live about an hour away. But I separated from family. And that also came because I was in the same situation you were. The difference is that you were worried about my dad. I was worried about you guys.
Yeah.
I get it. Like I get that separation anxiety, or because when I moved to Mexico, it was the same thing. I would just cry. I missed your high school graduation, never gonna forget. And it hurt. It hurt because I just cried. And I would look at the time and I'm like, she's graduating right now and I'm not there. I'm gonna cry again. And so I get it, but it took my husband to tell me, and I'm never gonna forget that. I always thank him for that. Because he said, no son tus hijos. Tú
Yeah.
tienes a tus hijos y tú no te puedes estar metiendo. And I looked at him and he goes, I don't want you going to your dad's anymore. And I looked at him, I said, you can't tell me I can't go to my dad's anymore. And he said, no, I can't. He goes, but you're not going to go. And I said, why? And he goes, porque cada vez que tú vas para allá, tú regresas llorando. He goes, and that's not good for you. Y yo, a mí no me gusta verte así. And I wouldn't go just because I did it. I felt like obligated, to stay home. But now that I go back and I see it, it was a big blessing because I was able to focus on my kids and on my family, and let you guys go. And my parents had to figure out what they were going to do with you. I couldn't be going back and forth all the time, so I get it. I get what that is.
Yeah. And I think that part I did learn because I would watch you a lot. I would see what you would do with us. I would see what you would do with your family, with your kids. And yo me ponía a pensar like she needs to focus on her kids. Like
Hmm.
she needs to focus on herself because you were always giving yourself away to everybody. And you were always giving, even when you had nothing to give, you still tried. And I mean, I
Hmm.
know that too because I did it with my younger siblings and I did it with my dad and even with friends, even with ex-lovers, I'm not gonna lie. And but at the same time, we were always I would see you doing that. And I think, I mean, not to make you feel guilty or anything, but I don't want to be like that where I'm like overextending myself to
Hmm.
everybody. Where and I think that was also part of like I would see life. Like I consider myself an old soul. And I've always been very mature for my age ever since I can remember.
Hmm.
And I would see everybody's actions and I didn't really like it.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was
You don't resonate with it.
I couldn't. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't. And it's like why? And I guess maybe that's why I've always was considered the weird one or the different one because there was nobody who I wanted to become. Like there wasn't really anybody there who
Hmm.
I would consider a role model. I know it sounds so unfortunate because it's my own family or friends.
When I was growing up, there was nobody, I didn't fit in. I didn't fit in anywhere. I didn't fit in with my cousins. I didn't fit in. Why? Because I had a daughter already. My life was different.
Yeah, you have
And
all of us to have.
yeah, yeah. And even now, I'm the grandma.
Yeah.
And we
And
still
you were
have
the
older
first one
cousins that aren't
out
even
of
there
all of
yet.
us to become a grandma. That's right.
But yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, yeah, I go back and I'm like, because it's funny because you you felt like you were the weird one. I felt like I was a different one. But then life goes on and look at us now. Like we actually get each other.
Yeah.
Even though like, yeah, even though life, took us through different paths, but it reunited us later on as adults.
Mhm.
And so it's like, oh, okay, we get it. Like we get each other.
Yeah.
You may not have kids, but I know that down the road, you're gonna be like, hey, how did you do this? Or,
Oh,
how can we do
100%.
that?
Yeah.
And vice versa. I mean, I ask you for a lot of advice on, you know, things that I don't get yet, that I don't get anymore. But we complement each other. And I think that that's a blessing. It was a blessing in disguise that we did have that same feeling. We just had different paths and different journeys. But at the end, we were able to find each other as adults and as sisters and be able to go through this journey together.
Yeah. Yeah. But going back to what I was saying, it was I didn't want to become anybody in my family or in my circle per se. Um, and I would notice like how much a lot of things would hurt you. And that's where I would kind of put everything into perspective, where it
Mhm.
was more like, okay, why is it hurting her? Like I've always been an observer and an analyzer when it comes to people. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always been like that. And maybe that's why I mean I also got into nursing too. And I noticed like a lot of the stuff that would hurt them, why is it hurting them? Like why what is it? Is it the actions that the other person is going? And that's when I started going through or getting to know like what a healing journey was and what a trigger was, what emotions meant for what and what. And that's where I started looking myself within. It's like, okay, they're speaking at a place of hurt. Everybody is speaking at a place from hurt. Everybody was.
Yeah.
And that's
Hmm.
where I analyzed and it just dawned on me. Like I remember I was like, oh my gosh, like this has nothing to do with me. This whole time I thought it did, but no, it didn't.
Yeah.
Or it has nothing to do with my siblings. Like this is something that this my mom was talking out of her, my dad was talking out of her. They were just portraying it to us when in reality,
Yeah.
we were the first people that they're able to portray it to us. And they probably would only do it to us, not their own siblings, not their own circles or whatever. And it's like, wow. And that's when I realized, and I was probably in like my early 20s when I realized all of this. Um, Whatever choices or decisions my parents make, that's on them. It has
Hmm.
nothing to do with us. And that's where I was like, okay. And that's when I started letting go a lot of, and I feel like that's where I probably started healing my parents' divorce and notice like how they were so different and also healing all of that too. But I think it also came when I got divorced. I was able to probably put
I think
together.
you understood it
I did. I
better.
did. I
Yeah.
understood it a little bit better because I don't even remember how old I was. I was 21, 22 when I got divorced, married and divorced. And
Hmm.
um and that's where I was like, okay, now I can somewhat understand,
Understand.
yeah, somewhat understand what where they're coming from. Let me start healing that part. And that's what I did. I started healing their divorce, and that's when I started healing that relationship. And over the years, and that's where my healing journey probably started. And then over the years, yes, I would date here and there, but nothing really serious because I knew there was some stuff. And that's what happened. And that's another thing that happened too. Every time I would date somebody new, whatever triggered me, that's what I knew I needed to heal. And
Hmm.
and that was when I was like, wait, no, I'm not I'm not ready to date. I still have some stuff. I still have some things that I need to work for myself. Yeah, I dated here and there, but nothing really serious. And it wasn't until I met my now partner, where he was going through the same exact thing. And granted, like the people that I've dated, it's so crazy to say, the people that I've dated, and even my ex husband, they all come from a very close-knit family, parents together, siblings together, everybody so together. They never really understood what it was growing up separated,
Right.
divorced. So when I
Yeah.
now met my partner, he comes from divorced parents. He had to figure a lot of stuff by himself at a very young age. And then he left his house to go into the army, and then he had his own career there. But growing up, and he grew up with his grandparents. Like it was, oh my gosh, it was the same. Like he had a rough relationship with his dad, and even I mean sometimes his mom, didn't really see his mom because his mom was always busy working, trying to put food on the table, which I totally understand. I mean that was with us too. With For me, I wasn't really close to my mom, but I was close to my dad, but I wouldn't really see him because he was always busy working or trying to put food on,
Yeah.
and all of us too, ultimately. So when I met him, like that familiarity was there. And at the same time, like I was able to breathe because he understood where I was coming from. And he understood, like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm also healing this specific part of my family too. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, it was so crazy to meet somebody from a whole different world
Yeah.
actually talk about the same childhood almost. And it was very refreshing to see that I wasn't the only, and in a Hispanic household. It was very, very refreshing to like come together. And I feel like we definitely came together a bit more because of that. And then of course he had some relationships that he was healing, so did I, and which we also talked about. And um but all of this to say that I met him during our more intense healing journey, and it wasn't until we moved over here to Texas where it was just him and I, and we had to figure it out on ourselves. And that
Yeah.
was scary. That was scary because I have no influence of my family, no influence of his family because his family's in a different state as well. And
You guys had no friends.
no friends, no nothing. We literally had to
Yeah.
start from scratch. And I feel like that's where we were able to actually see each other in a very vulnerable way and learn from one another in a very emotional and vulnerable way. And that's
Yeah.
why I started doing therapy. He's been doing therapy. That's where I started to go more in depth in to myself and getting a lot more closer to God, and ultimately finding stuff, my calling and my purpose in life. And I mean him too. And that's where I know we just had this conversation not that long ago. We like leveled up, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Um it's like so peaceful and so wonderful to experience that now in this relationship than in any relationship I've ever been to. And I know my parents would probably not understand at the moment, but because they have some stuff that they need to deal with for themselves, and that's okay. And but at the same time, like I hope with this, we become not only us, but I mean you guys as well. We're able to now say like, hey, I know what you're going through. I've been through that. We've been there. Um, how has divorce, and if anybody's family is also divorced. Actually, let me ask a quick question to all of our viewers and followers. If you come from divorced parents, or if you are also divorced or have been, let me know how you feel under in the comments, or send us a message, or send us an email. We'll also write our email down below as well. Um, is this something that you guys can relate to, or is there something in particular you guys would want us to talk about more in depth? Because I feel like divorce or coming from divorced parents played a major part in a lot of our lives and don't really discuss too much about it. We just think of it as like another way of life, but in reality, it played a lot of our emotions or it played a lot
Who you are.
of who you are now.
Yeah.
And if there's something, if there's any questions that you guys have, please let us know. We would love to answer your guys' questions and actually see what you guys have to say.
Yeah. That's deep. Can I ask you just one last deep question? Do you do you think there's anything you have to heal regarding my mom and my dad and their divorce?
Um, like their divorce or as my mom and my dad as individuals?
Anything, as in their divorce, as in them.
No, I think within the last 10 years, I can confidently say I've healed it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me 10 years, but
Yeah.
like I'm to the point where, and I know I've discussed this before with you too, and I've mentioned it to all my family and I also told them as well. Um, listen, whatever you guys have to say, like you guys can say it to each other, or if you guys need to vent or whatever, I'm here. Just know that um, whatever happens, um, like if I were to invite them or if I were to, like how you said earlier, it's their choice, it's their decision. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing
Mhm.
to do with my relationship with my partner. It has nothing to do with relationship in general. If my parents want to keep talking to me um, or to my partner per se, um, they're more than welcome to. If they want to create a relationship with me, they're more than welcome to. But just know that I'm still going to talk to both my mom and my dad because they're both my parents. And it's
Right.
not going to be one-sided because I feel like growing up, it was always like one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be one-sided. It's going to be equal parts. And if you don't like that, you don't have to talk to me. And I actually told this to both my parents and to all of you guys too. Like, if you guys want to have a relationship with me, you guys are more than welcome to be in my life. I'm a phone call away. I'm a flight away. I'm a 22, 24-hour drive away.
Been there a few
Which I
times.
know is something I appreciate. You know it's appreciated. And you guys know where to find me. And if you don't want a relationship with me, I don't care if you're my parents, my siblings, my friends, cousins, aunts, uncles, family members. I don't care. If you guys don't want a relationship with me, I am okay with that. More than okay with that. And I know it probably sounds crazy, but I've reached a step or an area in my life where I'm so at peace with myself and so at peace with what I have here at home and with my own little family that ultimately all I need is God and them. And
Hmm.
if people want to come in my life and be a part of it, it's going to be very loving and it's going to be very reciprocated and peaceful. I don't know how many times I've heard, but when people say they come over to my house, they feel such a peaceful environment and they
The
feel
same.
so at ease and they feel so loved. The moment you walk into the door, that's how it feels being here. And it took me a while to be where I'm at right now. It took a lot of work, a lot of emotions, a lot of anger, a lot of hurt, but at the same time, it's the person who I've been returning home to. And
Yeah.
I absolutely love it here.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because I feel the same way, but the difference is that if you don't want a relationship with me, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna look for one. But if you need help and you call me, I'm gonna help you. Like, that's just me. Like I've always told
Oh, well, yeah.
like that's just like I'm just like, oh, or I'd be like, oh my God, like, do you need help healing? Like, I'll help you. Like, that's just
Of
me. Like
of
I'm
course,
not like
of course, that,
I'm
of
just like,
course.
yeah. Yeah, I'm just like I wouldn't well, I don't think I've ever been. I've set boundaries, but I think I do them more with love. And I think I'm more like, because you're more direct. You're just
Yeah.
more like, this is what it is, y se acabó. Like there's no um beating around the bush.
But I think it's also because I was so tired of people just trying to beat around the bush with me.
Right, right.
And it's also like, okay, what do you need? Like we I understand. I guess I don't know. I guess I just felt like it was always like I've always been very communicative. Like it just communicate
Yeah,
with me. That's it. Like I don't you don't have to give me like a whole backstory. What if there's anything I can help you with? Great, let's do it. Like it's just
yeah.
I don't know. I just got tired of getting
And again, I think because that's what it shaped us from when we were young. And for me, it's always been that I think I'm just more nurturing. I'm just more, and I think because since I had to be, I guess, like the mom during the divorce, I think that's kind of what I just feel like I need to be all the time. Like, like, no, 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 like I can help you. Like, don't, let's figure this out. So it's not that because I mean, granted, I think I've done a lot of boundary setting where I'm just like, nope, like this is not going to happen. But I think that I'm just more loving about it. Like I do it in a more loving way, in a more like, okay, like I also care about how you feel. I mean, I feel bad for you because so most of the time, when it comes to family, like I know that it's done out of unhealed hearts. And I'm just kind of like, oh, I feel for you, but I think I'm more like I don't know. I am just like, if you need me to cry with you, I'll sit there and I'll bawl my eyes out because that's just me. And then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, so how can I help you? Like let's do this. Like I'm here for you, like that's just me. And I think that I don't necessarily think that it's beating around the bush or like people trying to take advantage. I just feel like if you're coming to me because you need help, like I'm gonna help you, regardless of what our relationship, regardless if we haven't even talked in years.
Right.
I'm still gonna like if you come to me, I'm just gonna help you. I just have like that's just who I am. Like they can't change that.
Mhm.
And I notice, and I know you and I are just completely different in that aspect. But then again, like I mentioned last time, a veces ocupo mis jalones de orejas, and because you're very direct, and I know you're not going to beat around the bush and be like, no, this, and that, and you can do this, and you could, and I'm like, okay, yes, okay, I got it, like,
I guess
you
I'm
know,
more of a I don't know. I guess I'm more of a motivator. And also I did use I was not like this. Let me backtrack. I was always I was always taken advantage of. I was a people pleaser. I always stayed quiet. I always just always kept my mouth closed.
Mhm,
And it wasn't until like maybe these last 4 years, 4 or 5 years, where I just had enough. I had enough, and
mhm,
I'm done. I'm done of getting taken advantage of. And it was with everybody, with a lot of people, a lot of like family, friends, or not even like acquaintances, I should say.
right,
And it's just I just got tired. I just got tired of it, and it's like no, let me if I can and I if I can communicate a lot better with everybody else, I can at least get the respect. And I mean, not even, I don't care. I really don't care if you respect me or not, because at the end of the day, it's how you treat me is how you treat yourself. I see it that way. And and I'm going to treat people the way I treat myself. And I'm the type of person where if you I'll give you your space and I'll give you your ground to talk. You're not going to get judged. You're not. Say what you need to say. Just ask me or tell me what you need.
Hmm.
It's straight because I feel like
Yeah, it's just, yeah, to the point, and that's
to
it.
the point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, for me, it's just kind of like I do get judged a lot. And I think I've always dealt with it my whole life. But right now, I'm just to the point where it's like, I now understand if you are judging me, or si yo te caigo mal, I'm mirroring something that's in you that you are either not liking or I'm doing that, you cannot do, or you are not where you're supposed to be at. And that's how I see it now. Y es donde I feel bad. Not bad as in like, oh my God, I'm gonna help you, sino que bad as in like, ooh, like I
That's where
know,
I
like
think,
I haven't done anything to you, and I'm already triggering you,
yeah.
like how? And I feel bad for them, like, like, oh, if you could just see yourself, pero no, yo no digo nada. I'm just kind of like, man, only if you were to do the work,
Yeah, exactly. It's like
yeah, so it's,
there's some healing that you need to do there.
yeah,
But again,
yeah,
I'd rather just como lo haces tú, I'd rather just place my boundaries and pretty much it and just be in a loving way, of course. And
right.
y cada quien, because they're not going to listen to what you have to say whatsoever. So it's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you can't make anybody do things.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
up to them. Hmm.
Yeah. So it's better off to just let them be and wish them well. And I hope you find what you're looking for.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And leave it at that, which is so
Mhm.
funny because it's you can tell when there's people who have some stuff that needs to. And I mean, we've gotten to a point where we're able to tell where people have some stuff that need to be healing. And we don't judge people at all when it comes to whatever you guys are dealing with. And just 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 let it be. But I can tell when somebody, and like how you said earlier, Vivian, um, when there's cuando hay alguien que you just feel that negative energy or you just feel like that like their vibe, you can definitely feel their vibe when it's off. That's when I know, because your body will tell you before your mind
Yeah,
before your mind and your heart tell you. Your body automatically catches up on how
yeah,
a person is. And that's honestly, that's how I go based off now. Antes I would just say whatever, but I noticed when I would say whatever, people would take it so wrong, so wrong, and out of context too. And they would think that I would talk bad about them or would judge them, when on the contrary, it's like, no, I didn't mean it that way.
yeah,
So I'm like, okay, whatever. So, I mean, again, I really didn't care either. And but when I started actually getting to know my body or learning about my body and learning when it's talking to me, that's when I started picking up a lot of these vibes and a lot of these, it can be negativity or positivity around people and peacefulness around people and or loving people. And that's when I knew that was my cue on what to say, what not to say. And I mean, then again, now now I'm at the point where it's very direct. I'm still going to say whatever, but in a loving way because my body's telling me that that person is still not there yet.
yeah,
And vice versa. And I can be more open and more about myself with like with you or with other friends and family that I have that I know
yeah,
are very non-judgmental and are also have been going through their own healing journeys and also understanding now where we're all coming from.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
uh,
Very interesting. I mean, we can go on forever and
I
ever
know.
and ever.
I know. Well,
Yeah, but I mean, I mean, I learned new things about you today. So, I mean, every time we have conversations like this, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. But it's very awesome. And I mean, anything else that you wanna
no,
say or?
No, I guess well, I actually forgot to say, so backtrack. Um, Granted, we still communicate with our parents 100%.
Yeah.
Very, we love our parents and we're always going to be there for them. They're the ones who gave us life, and if it wasn't because of them or what they went through, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. So just grateful for them and just continue to love them unconditionally. And I do want to say, so both of our parents are from Mexico. Um, they came here when they were pretty
Young.
young. And
Mhm.
um, my mom is from Nayarit y mi papá es de Michoacán. And we definitely learned a lot about their cultures and growing up. And um, I personally love to cook a lot of dishes that they grew up eating. So it's been pretty fun getting to connect with them food wise. And we both grew up here in the US, California per se. Like we mentioned, we're both in two different states as of
Mhm.
right now, as what we're doing this. But there's going to be times where we will get together and we'll go ahead and do this together. But again, we're just going to go ahead and break it down to each sections. I wanted to backtrack and actually start off from the beginning. And if there's anything else that you guys would like us to talk about or have questions for us, comments or anything, I'm going to go ahead and place an email down below. You can also send a comment, send a message on our social medias. And
Follow us on our social media.
so follow us on which
We
I'm
have
going to
Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah, I'm gonna link everything below. So go ahead and let us know. But we'll be more than happy to answer any of your guys' questions and go from there. So I hope you guys subscribe and give us a follow. And we will see you on our next episode. I'll see you guys later.
Yes.